Hello, everybody. Scott Golden with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the Superstars of Wrestling Review series. This is the June 11th, 1994 edition. We've got about 3 or 4 more of these up on Peacock, and we add when we can. We've got about 220 or so of these up so far. I think the show had about a 400 to 450 episode run. I don't know that we'll ever have all of them. Would love to, but I don't think we'll ever get there. But what we have, we can do, and we've got over 1,800 um, shows available. Hoping to get to 2,000 this month. Hoping to eventually have, who knows, 15, 20,000 shows in general. Anyway, Yokozuna and Crush make their way out, and they are going to be challenging for the Tag Team Championships upcoming. So, them being in that position, more so for Yokozuna to save face. Smoking Guns are their challengers, and if you have not seen the benefit of the Smoking Guns and just working around Yokozuna was worth seeing. I remember seeing it at least once at a house show. Fuji trying to call shots between Crush and Yokozuna. Of course, Yoko beginning to lose mobility around this time, or very soon, close after this. When you look at Yoko only having about an 18-month run where he was in superior shape in the WWF, and yet you remember what a star he was. Anyway, Crush tries to light up Billy Gunn. Gunn kind of takes over on Crush a little bit. Obviously, moving around Yokozuna can be difficult. Gunn to the second rope on the inside with the clothesline. Doesn't get everything he wants on that, but gets enough. Anyhow, Bart Gunn comes in and takes over on Crush as well. Obviously, Yoko being left for the final few minutes of the match. Sprint, not marathon there. And the interference from either Fuji or Cornette on the outside, pulling the top rope down on one of the guns, Billy Gunn, I believe, changes the things going in the way that the heels. Not necessarily sure that you should be having a competitive match to this degree, literally, days before the pay per view, but whatever. Double clothesline by both men there. Yoko finally comes in, uses punch kick offense as would be expected. Jim Cornette does amazing facials on the outside, indicating his displeasure with how things are going. Yoko takes over a bit and uses nerve holds and other tactics to hide his lack of mobility. Yoko also does the splash in the corner, among other things, on one of the guns, and Bart Gunn out of the way in that case. Anyhow, Bart and Billy try to double team Yokozuna because what else are you going to do to get the big man down? He finally does take a bump, but eventually the team of Yoko and Crush get the victory here. Some new advertisements. Doink coming out. By this point, I'm pretty sure that Doink and Dink, of course, Tiger Jackson, Doink having left, the original Doink, Matt Bourne, having left right before WrestleMania 10, or a couple months before anyway. This is Ray Apollo, I'm pretty sure, at the time. And Doink and Dink comes down in a wheelbarrow. Not exactly a can't miss match by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously, punch kick and trying to do comedy for the kids, trying to get a reaction for young children. Makes sense, but at the same time, not exactly something that needs to be done. Hard shots on Doink. Doink with the takedown does the whoopee cushion deal and eventually gets the victory. Super simple. Highlights from Raw with the Pat the Brat Piper character, and Roddy Piper basically says this is not even going to be a match, it's going to be a fight. He's going to take Jerry Lawler out and bring the kid, otherwise known as Pat the Brat Piper, to the eventual to the house show somewhere and bring things about. Mabel against IRS is up as I don't know, I'd say major match, but it's here. Mabel, or actually is being talked about as part of the King of the Ring, and hyped as such. IRS getting a enhancement match, running clothesline and other basic things. IRS gives the kid a crossbody, nothing major, and still continues his run. Issues for Lex Luger, and some, um, you know, Tatanka gets a victory to advance into the King of the Ring himself, I believe, and ultimately, I believe, from Raw over one of the Heavenly Bodies, Bret Hart talking about the King of the Ring being a challenge for Diesel, but Diesel isn't really ready. At least he doesn't seem to think so. And there's how we're going into the King of the Ring. The Diesel and Bret Hart matches. Actually, Bret Hart and Kevin Nash, aka Diesel, probably the best matches of Nash's career outside of maybe Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. So certainly in Diesel's top three opponents. Anyway, I actually think that Hart is the best of the three. Personal preference, especially the Survivor Series '95 match. Anyhow, um, so Duke the Dumpster Droese comes in. Reno Riggins is his opponent. Body slams, basic stuff. Tries to muscle his man up. Does manage to muscle him up. Doesn't get everything he wants on it. Really basics, clotheslines, and other basic maneuvers along the way. Nothing worth writing home about, but Trash Compactor power slam by Droese gets him the victory there. Not exactly, your match that has to be seen. Also, not exactly a match that is going to appeal to anyone other than young children, but it's here. And of course, he gets the victory there going into the King of the Ring, which he's not on. Josie, I think, gone by early 1996. Once again, the Heartbreak Hotel interview segment, basically a light version of the Piper's Pit, which is a version of the King's Court. Basically, they never really did interview segments that were as fantastic as the Brother Love Show and Piper's Pit. Those were the two that mattered, and they tried to recreate the magic several times throughout, never really quite hitting the mark. Anyway, Ted DiBiase is the intended guest there, comes out with the fake Undertaker, aka Brian Lee, but claiming it's the real Undertaker at the time. Undertaker at the time does not speak, as that would blow things wide open. But leading to Summer '94, the win there. Jeff Jarrett in kind of purple magenta tights in an enhancement match here hits a slingshot suplex a la the old Tully Blanchard finish, and a double axe handle from the inside. I actually enjoy Jarrett's podcast a great deal, so I don't bag on Jarrett too much because he's a guy I really have enjoyed since listening to his podcast. If you don't listen to his podcast, worth going out of your way to check out. One of the better podcasts, of course, Conrad Thompson. Other than the Kurt Angle podcast that I've never really gotten into, to me, the Conrad Thompson podcast stuff is amazing. Enhancement Talent actually does a dive over the top rope, and they replay it a couple times, and he crashes and burns. And Jarrett wins with a figure four. They hype some local house shows in the WrestleMania Revenge Tour. One more hype for the King of the Ring, and we close on that note. In 1 week is when the 1 week and a day is when the King of the Ring will happen. We'll be back with more right after this.